There's three things that I like to talk about. One, that you appear confident, like you know what you're talking about. So that means you need to prepare. That means you need to actually have the knowledge that you say you're going to deliver. Two, having some type of content strategy. So having a theme that runs through the different topics that you deliver when you are talking on your live streams. There can be disconnect when you're all over the place and none of your content is really connecting to the other content that you've put out there. The third thing is consistency. So
Hmm.
that messes with your engagement. If you're only on today and then maybe a month later, you might pop up and then maybe 2 weeks later, and you're always on a different day and time, that it creates this inconsistency such that people don't rely on you to be available when they can watch.
That's a great point. And we've actually had some guests say like, yeah, I'd love to be on your show, but I can't do it on Fridays. I'm like, that's when we
That's when
do
we
it.
do it.
Yeah. And now we've done some pre-recorded stuff before when like we're taking a break or something, but like everybody knows that we show up 10 a.m. Central every Friday. That's what I love to see is like the chat and like them welcoming each other and talking to each other. I just think that is really cool as a
Yeah.
community where people are taking care of each other. What are some, other than like bringing up comments, are there some things that you like to do to drive engagement? You mentioned, being consistent, but an acknowledgement, other than just pulling up great comments like Kirk watching over on LinkedIn. Hey Kirk, how you doing? What are some other ways that you can like get people to get engaged, interact with your streams that you like to do?
One of the things that I found I have to do because, okay, so I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to say something very transparent with you. I am the person who can never remember the punchline on a joke.
That's
So,
my
so
wife.
I'm going to start with that. And I'm going to tell you that I do, I intentionally plant for myself different engagement questions. I make sure that when I'm writing out my script, even though it's an outline, it's a skeletal script. So it's not a full script. So I'm not reading. I'm thinking ahead of, okay, what kind of questions should I ask at these different points that will get people to interact? Because
Mm.
if I fail to do that, sometimes I just won't do it. And that is really a secret to having engagement is drawing people in and asking them to interact with you in the first place.
So we're talking about strategies, engagement strategies, right? So we come up with a couple, we actively, consciously decide we're going to include these types of strategies in our live show. But how do we measure that success of the engagement strategies that we're using? I think we can come off of a live show and be like, that was great. The audience was doing so much. It was just a really, really awesome show. We can kind of leave it at that. But how do we kind of go back and say, you know what, this strategy that I did, that was successful? What do those measurements look like for you?
Yeah, so a couple of things. There's some that are informal, and then there may be some things that are a little bit more formal. Informally, yeah, I think you're going to have a gut feeling. I do think that when you see that there's interaction and there's engagement in the chat and people are conversing back and forth with each other and they're also interacting with you, I think that can be some measure that, hey, this is a good show. This is working well. However, you do need to take a look at your metrics. You need to look at how long did people actually stay on the show? How long were they viewing the content that you were putting out there? Did they disappear after they said, "Hey, what's up?" and then they were out? At what points during the show, during the episode, are you seeing that people are your engagement is spiking or that
Mhm.
people are staying longer? And at what points is it kind of like people are dropping off? You need to pay attention to that and use that as leverage. The other thing for me, because tied to this whole idea of engagement, especially because I'm an entrepreneur, so I have things to sell. And
Yeah.
I know that there are some creators that don't. But if you do, you need to be paying attention to whether or not people are actually taking action because there's call to action bites that you're also incorporating throughout your show, not just at the end, but you're seeding different links without overkill and making it feel salesy. So wherever you're seeing that people are clicking, if they're taking action on the things that you're influencing them and asking them to take action on, that's also to me another measure that is a little bit more formal and definitely more helpful. So you know that you're hitting the right notes.